Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, August 17th, 5:47 a.m. Central Time as I speak here. December corn futures down 3/4 of a cent at 609 and a half. November soybeans up 6 1/4 at 1387 and a quarter. December Chicago wheat up 1 3/4 at 804 and a half. December Kansas City wheat up 3 1/4 at 876 and a half. December spring wheat up 4 3/4 at 917. If you guys are listening on the podcast, appreciate it. If you're on that Apple app, do me a favor, leave me a review. I could use some more there. If you're watching on YouTube, guys, subscribe to the channel, like these videos, leave me a comment, give me a crop update. Let me know what's going on in your neighborhood. If you'd like some additional information from me, go to my website, www.standardgrain.com. Check out my premium subscription service today, guys. Ton of information direct from me every single business day. Morning email goes out about 5:30 a.m. Central. In that email, you'll see overnight headlines, charts, graphics, weather info, really everything you need to know for that day in regard to the markets. My daily subscriber-only videos are part of this deal. Yesterday, I ran through the outside markets, did a chart review. I think what's going on in the outside world is extremely important, especially these last couple of years. I'd love to tell you that everything that moves the corn and soybean market has to do with, yield estimates and that sort of stuff. But it doesn't, not in my opinion. I think there are a lot of other factors at play. This inflation situation, interest rates, energy prices. There's a lot of things up in the air that can have an impact on these markets. If you guys are interested in this sort of content, sign up today. $50 a month, cancel at any time. No other fee, no other obligation. Nobody will try to sell you anything else. If you guys like the podcast and the YouTube video, you guys will love the subscription service, I promise. Russia is struggling to export its record wheat crop. Well-followed private group Sovecon estimated the crop at a whopping 94.7 million metric tons this week. USDA's got the crop at 88, so they're talking just a monster crop. Sovecon estimates that Russia's wheat exports in July and August are 28% behind the same period last year, despite this huge crop. Well, we have not, and when I say we, the West has not sanctioned Russia's grain and agricultural trade. There are no sanctions there. However, the export process has been very much disrupted due to logistical and financial constraints. You've got banks, you've got shipping companies. They have just opted out of doing business with Russia. They think it's bad publicity, it's bad optics. They don't want to be involved. They question some of the sanctions and things that could happen to them if they do business with Russia. So this is an issue, and it's interesting because you still, to this day, see these stories regarding food shortages floating around. I went on Google this morning, Google food shortage. There's like 20 different articles about global food shortages. Yet at the same time, Russia's sitting on a record wheat crop. Wheat prices are back to pre-invasion levels. So I think that at this point in time, this food shortage story is kind of a non-starter. Now, food may still be expensive for a lot of reasons. Transport is difficult. There's going to be some lag time between, commodity prices and what you actually pay at the store, wherever. And maybe there's some issues in some of these third world countries. But the way the market's set up, the way you've got a record wheat crop having a lot of difficulty making its way out of Russia, I think that the food shortage story at this point is a non-starter. You go back to the period following the invasion, yeah, a food shortage deal was a very real possibility, but things have changed since then. There's a lot that has changed. Again, wheat prices back to pre-invasion levels. Russia's sitting on a ton of wheat. We're starting to move wheat out of Ukraine. So I don't know that there's necessarily a big food shortage issue out there right now. In perhaps related news, the United States will buy $68 million worth of Ukrainian wheat. The U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, will spend more than $68 to purchase and ship Ukrainian grain. They're providing funds to the World Food Program, which is an arm of the United Nations. A USAID spokesperson said this: while this additional wheat will be used to help feed people in countries facing severe hunger and malnutrition, much more is needed to help the world recover from the global devastation caused by Putin's brutal war. So the United States continues to send a seemingly endless supply of money to Ukraine. The wheat purchase is really not much, grand scheme of things. $68 million. That's nothing. We've sent the World Food Organization almost 5 billion in total funds to the World Food Program, rather, and I mean just tens of billions in total funding to Ukraine. So I mean, I guess you can't, like, if you're going to say I'm the taxpayer, why am I buying Ukrainian wheat? I mean, you got probably bigger fish to fry when it comes to that issue. But yeah, the U.S. buying some Ukrainian wheat, trying to get it overseas. It's seen as being a humanitarian deal. I think a lot of people question when do you stop sending money to Ukraine? Is this just something that continues forever? Is it something that stops at some point? We really don't know. Looking at the weather here in the United States, you got some rains falling over Arkansas this morning, moving their way east, kind of a second system over maybe the Oklahoma Panhandle, that sort of area. Really not much to speak of at all in the Corn Belt. Next 7 days, it continues to favor rains over the southern part of the country, like south of the Corn Belt. Maybe some of the far areas of southern Illinois, southern Indiana might catch some rain. Maybe some stuff out east. Maybe some kind of scattered type stuff for Iowa and Minnesota. This is not going to be like a big sweeping system, but they may catch an inch of rain here over the next 7 days, which would be really nice. North Dakota, maybe the eastern third here catches some rain. South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, mostly dry. So again, a lot of the rain sticking to the southern, half or third of the country here over the next week. 6 to 10 is, maybe wetter than normal for a lot of the Corn Belt, but this, say, area, Iowa, Minnesota, the Dakotas, drier than normal. And then temperatures below normal to normal just about everywhere. U.S. exporters sold some soybeans to Mexico. Flash sale of about 8.5 million bushels to Mexican buyers for new crop delivery. We've seen quite a few soybean flash sales so far this month. 3 to China, now 1 to Mexico. Global importers typically begin accelerating purchases of new crop U.S. corn and soybeans around this time of year. So you should see this stuff continue pretty normal. WTI crude oil futures posted their lowest close since January 25th yesterday. The SEP 22 WTI contract closed at $86.53 per barrel. That's the lowest close for any spot month crude contract since late January. Traders are again discussing the prospect of a nuclear deal with Iran, essentially a revival of this original 2015 deal in some form, which would ultimately result in much larger oil flows from Iran. In return, Iran would see some relief from sweeping economic sanctions that have been in place for a long time. They're also going to have to give up their enriched uranium, which is the nuclear part of it. In addition to that, the Biden administration is attempting to convince global oil importers, most notably China and India, to cap prices paid for Russian oil rather than institute kind of like an effective ban. So what they want to do is like cap the price paid for Russian oil at like $40 to $60 per barrel. I don't know if that's something that's possible or not. But in any case, the gas prices have fallen like a rock here. The U.S. national average gas price, $3.94 yesterday. It was $4.53 a month ago and $5.02 at its all-time high in mid-June. So we've seen gas prices come down a lot. That's a positive factor when it comes to the inflation statistics. The energy prices have been the biggest driver of inflation on both the consumer and the wholesale side. So you continue to see these gas prices fall. You could very much make the argument that inflation has peaked, and a lot of people are beginning to make that argument, certainly. Cattle market had a really nice day yesterday. You saw some fresh multi-month highs in a bunch of these live cattle and feeder cattle contracts. We'll see what happens today. Not really much cash trade to speak of this week. U.S. dollar marginally higher. The S&P is down 30 points. The Dow's down 180, although the stock market's been really strong here the last few weeks. The bonds are off a little bit. Gold's down $3. Crude oil up just 6 cents at 86.22 in the October WTI. Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you same time tomorrow.